Generally speaking, Andrea Mitchell does not push back all that much. Today I saw her push back. I was extremely happy to see how she pushed back. Take a listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I want to ask you about the political calculation of doing all of these rallies, despite certainly polling data that shows that 59% of the people in a USA Today poll yesterday saying that they don't think the rallies are a good idea because of COVID.
Well, the president represents moving forward as the country. Of course, he wants people to be safe and take precautions, but he knows that we can't be driven back into our basements by the coronavirus. Joe Biden would send us back into lockdowns again.
Well, that isn't what he is representing, because he is also saying he would listen to the scientists. He's not. No, he is not. That is. Excuse me, that is not what he's saying. But also, the fact is that the president is telling people we're rounding the corner and repeatedly mocking Biden for wearing a mask. A recent Washington Post ABC News poll found that 77% of likely voters in Wisconsin support their state's rules on mask wearing.
The president has always encouraged people to wear a mask, and he said it's patriotic to wear a mask. And at our events, we give every attendee a temperature check. We give every attendee a temperature check before they're allowed inside. We give them a mask that we instruct them to wear, and there is plenty of hand sanitizer for everyone to wear, but this for everyone to use.
Well,
but this is what the president has done.
He has wearing masks.
Andrea, he has mounted an unprecedented
the very first thing you said is that he has
federal
told
government
people
and the private sector. He has. He absolutely has.
He has not told people to wear masks.
And when the president talks about rounding the corner, he's talking about the therapeutics that are now in use. We are inches away from a vaccine in record time. Meanwhile, you have Joe Biden on the other side using this anti-vaxxer rhetoric, scaring people away from taking the vaccine, and then the media happily trumpeting the polls that say that people are afraid of the vaccine.
Tim, I have to interrupt you.
That's true.
Tim, let's have a conversation. Joe Biden is not using anti-vaxxer rhetoric. He has said he will listen to the scientists. I want to ask you also about the recordings obtained by CNN of Jared Kushner's conversations with Bob Woodward back in April, talking about how the president was getting the country back from the doctors, and also saying this about the politics of the pandemic.
What he's been saying is don't fall into the same trap that we fell into the first time. The states have to own the testing. The federal government should not own the testing. And the federal government should not own kind of the rules. It's got to be up to the governors, because that's the way the federalist system works. But the president also is very smart politically with the way he did that fight with the governors to basically say, no, I own the opening. Because, again, the opening is going to be very popular. People want this country open. But if it opens in the wrong way, the question will be, did the governors follow the guidelines we set out or not?
Isn't that extraordinarily cynical at a time when we were hitting peaks in all parts of the country of the pandemic at the time, to be talking about the political advantage of blaming the governors for the testing, the hard part, and taking credit for the reopening? And this, by the way, was when the president was calling for states to reopen before they had reached the guidelines that his own task force was recommending, of having at least 2 weeks of better numbers.
It is absolutely true that the media and Joe Biden have turned this. They are the ones who have turned the entire coronavirus crisis into one big political weapon. Joe Biden has been unburdened by the responsibility of leadership. And in fact, he has not been able to point out one thing that he would do differently from what President Trump has done.
Well, one thing he has done is worn a mask all the time, not held big rallies, not had super spreaders at the Rose Garden, not had super spreaders in Tulsa and in Wisconsin, in Duluth, Minnesota, and other places. Let me ask you about this. The White House put out a statement yesterday saying that one of its achievements is ending the pandemic at a time when 78,000 daily cases are being recorded day after day, and 80,000, the most during the entire pandemic, just today. The pandemic is getting worse.
But I think the White House has already explained that, as I suspect you know. They've said that that was poorly worded. We are very close to a life-saving vaccine in record time. Those are all real accomplishments that the media never focuses on. And they let Joe Biden get away with this anti-vaxxer rhetoric, where he is actively frightening people with his running mate, frightening people away from using the life-saving vaccine simply because he's trying to score political points. And Joe Biden and the media have colluded together to turn the entire crisis into one big political weapon to try to defeat President Trump. And they are doing a disservice to the public.
Well,
and scaring people
Murtaugh,
away from a vaccine is not something that is defensible.
That is not at all accurate, but we can have a further conversation another time, but that is not at all accurate.
That is not at all accurate. I wish, however, that she had just said that is an outright lie. So I love the way that they laid out the case. They gave him too much time to talk. I cut out a whole lot of the crap that he had to say, but they made it they showed you where Donald Trump actually was using the pandemic to try to get some sort of a popular appeal. In other words, go ahead and let the governors take the downside. I'll take the upside of the positive affirmations. We're going to open up and all of that. And if people die as we open up, well, the governors didn't follow the rules, and that's why people are dying. But we've got to open up. She also never let him get away with Donald Trump love masks, and see he's going to do all these great things by having the people who come to his pandemic to his rallies wear masks. She made it clear that he was spreading the pandemic. His rallies were super spreaders. I'm starting to really feel that the media is trying like hell between the lines, not as they should, but to really hold these people kind of to the fire. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.